Some 5,000 children whose parents have been deported end up in foster care in the U.S. Deported parents often face daunting barriers to reuniting with their children in their home country. KPBS Fronteras reporter Jill Replogle met with a few families trying to get their children back and explains how the immigration reform bill may be able to help. Now, Jill, this is a heart-wrenching problem. Essentially, these children are left behind in the U.S. when their parents are deported. How does that happen?
So it's important to mention that this is not all children of deported parents, but child welfare services might already be involved in a case where a parent gets deported if there were previous allegations of abuse or neglect. They might get involved simply because the parent is deported. Perhaps that parent doesn't have anywhere to leave the children, in which case they also might get involved. And parents sometimes get thrown in jail and then they get deported, and that's another situation where they might get involved, again, because there's some sort of allegation of abuse or neglect because the parents simply aren't present.
And parents can bring their children with them if they are deported?
As long as child welfare services is not involved and there's not some situation where the kid is a ward of the state, yes.
Okay, well, let's talk about a couple of the families that you talked with. Tonya Velasquez was one mother, young mother that you talked with. Tell us about her.
She lived in Anaheim for about 8 years. She was stopped by police with her husband, and the police found drugs on him, not on her. She says she's never used drugs, was not involved, but she was pressured by her lawyer, not pressured, but her lawyer suggested that she plead guilty to a misdemeanor because she thought she was going to get out and be able to be with her daughter.
And we saw that picture, her 3-year-old daughter, right? Little.
3-year-old daughter, yeah. She did not get out of jail. She was then put into deportation proceedings. She was in detention for about 6 months, and she was deported to Tijuana last month in May.
And so now what's the situation as far as with her and her daughter? Where's her daughter?
So her daughter, she left her daughter with a friend, and her daughter's been with that friend the entire time. And now she's working, child welfare services got involved, and she now has to prove her case to a judge and to the social worker that's on her case that she's a fit parent.
Do parents like Tonya in this deportation cases, is there a risk that they can actually lose custody of their children?
Yeah, definitely. If they can't prove that they're fit to have their child back, then yes. And they have to do a number of things. Each case plan is different, but the one that's the standards are they have to have a house, they have to have a job, which can be very difficult for parents who are recently deported. Many of them show up in Tijuana with nothing, absolutely nothing. They often have to do therapies of different kinds. They have to do drug testing. And I should mention, they have to pay for all of this, all the therapies and all the drug testing, and it can be a real burden on a lot of families.
You also met with another couple who had lived in the U.S. for more than 2 decades before being deported. Tell us about them and what they're trying to do to get their children back.
So this is a couple that lived in Mission Viejo, very long-term residents. He was here for more than 20 years. She was here for about 13 years. And they were deported after they stole toys from a store. Again, people tend to get involved with child welfare services because there is a legitimate problem. They were deported to Tijuana. They've been trying to get their kids back for 1.5 years, which is a really long time in child dependency cases. They say that the social worker has just given them more and more tasks. They think they meet the task.
They both have jobs. They have a home.
They've done everything, and they're sort of at a loss as to why this isn't moving forward. And they suspect that there's somewhat of a bias there against placing the kids in Mexico. That maybe the woman is concerned about. I don't know if it's a woman, excuse me, but the caseworker is concerned that they're not doing things the right way. Maybe they're cutting quarters. Maybe they've
or just afraid of the violence or whatever is happening in Mexico in general, not necessarily with that family.
Well, I think she's doubted that the family has done things the correct way.
Okay. What do the American side say about this? What's happening with American social workers? What do they say? Like, we're doing our job, this is exactly the right thing to do, or are they a little bit frustrated as well?
Well, I talked to a woman from Orange County who is actually sort of the official liaison between the Orange County Social Services Agency and the Mexican authorities. And her job is to sort of smooth out these cases because they can get very complicated with language barriers, and there's 2 different child welfare services involved, the Mexican side and the American side. And she says, we have to be extremely careful in these cases. One, because we are concerned about Mexico itself and the violence and and poverty. These are things that are not supposed to be taken into account in a child welfare case, but that's what she said. And then the other thing is just that once the child is placed in Mexico, they can't follow up. It's out of their jurisdiction. So they feel a responsibility to that child to make sure
because
that they're
they will have no control once that happens.
They're in the best situation possible.
Let's talk about the current Senate immigration reform bill. What parts of that will address, if any, this issue?
There are a couple things. There's a part of the bill, and it's sort of a very subtle language, but it would lower the bar a little bit to allow immigration judges and agents more discretion to allow parents of U.S. children to stay here. Again, that's up to their discretion, but it would give them a little more leeway to waive deportation for some of these parents. The other thing is that when parents are deported, and the ones that have been deported thus far, the bill would give them an opportunity to apply to come back as legal residents.
Okay. Front Terrace reporter Jill Replogle, thank you for bringing us this story. Now, you can see all of Jill's reporting on the issues of deported parents on our website, kpbs.org.